Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 60 years of doing great things in our community, whether it's food insecurity, it's the arts, financial literacy, working with Alzheimer's patients, the homeless. They are just involved in so many great causes, as is this wonderful group. They are frequent guests, and there's a reason why they're a frequent guest. They're such an iconic organization in our region, and that is the Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial team. Neil O'Connell, Executive Director, is in the house. How you doing, Neil?
Fantastic, Drew. Good to see you again, and happy summer.
Happy summer. It's always a good day when you guys are in, joined by your colleague, Trevor Wessman-Lavelle, Marketing and Communications Director. How you doing, Trevor?
I'm doing all right. It is, as you just said, it's summertime.
It's summertime, but don't think that means these guys get an easy break. These are 365, 24/7 guys, and if they had 380 days in a year, they'd fill that up as well on that. Neil, just for our audience that may have missed this, what is the mission of the memorial?
Honor above all. Our mission is to honor veterans by preserving their legacy through an educational experience for the public at the beautiful Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial, atop the highest point within the city limits of San Diego, with one of the best view in the city by far. It's the only memorial in the United States of America that is surrounded, there's a cross surrounded by 18 walls that have over 7,000 plaques, over 12,000 stories of veterans.
And what makes you folks unique is that it's not veterans that have passed, it's veterans that are still with us.
Correct. Living and deceased veterans. This is not a place of interment, it's a place of memorialization and historical conveyance. And how that happens is through the process of putting a photo of a veteran on a granite plaque. And that is what's very, very unique. And the majority of the plaques up there, Drew, as you know, are deceased veterans.
Right.
But many, about probably 20%, are still with us today.
And I think that's great. I mean, you get to show somebody that they can point out to their grandkids or their relatives or whomever. This is me. I'm still above ground, and I think that's a good thing. And I think in celebration of the 25th anniversary of our country, you folks are telling the human story of American freedom. Our 250 years of valor etched in stone. That is a great moniker. Talk about that.
Well, I tell you what, this has been a combination of, I would say, the whole team here, but primarily our lead marketing communication director, Trevor Wessman-Lavelle. We put together a concept starting last probably November and December, and that's been our theme throughout this entire year. Trevor's created ceremonies and messages that have resounded with the community, with the veterans community at a local, national, and international level, to be quite honest with you. And up to today, we've had 6 major events that have resonated with that theme.
Talk about that, Trevor.
Doing the exploration into connecting what it is that we do up at the memorial to what it is we're celebrating collectively as a nation was very interesting in that it extracted out what our differentiation is, what it is that we do up there, and what it is that you see when you visit there. And there are a couple of things, and we're celebrating collectively 250 years of an evolving culture. We are the great American experiment.
Right.
And there's no better example of that experiment than the commitment to service and the diversity, the tapestry that you see represented through service and on our walls. That's exactly what you see. And you see a collective commitment to the same virtues that our patriots, our original patriots who founded this country had. And so, for us, when we're telling that story, not only about what we do on a day-to-day basis, but what we're, how we're commemorating that this year, that we see on our walls are two things that are very different than you see anywhere else. And one, that is that diversity, and it's the collage of every service branch, every rank, and every culture, every ethnic background, and they're all blended together. There's no wall dedicated to, generals or PFCs or petty officers. Everybody is next to each other. And the second part is that all of those stories are personal stories. We're not a wall, we're not a monolith of names commemorating a single era or a single conflict. We're covering virtually everything over the 250 years of our country's history. And what you're seeing is that common thread that connects every single one of those service members and the personal stories. These plaques are not, these plaques are being dedicated by family members, by friends, by the veterans themselves, by associations, and they're telling personal stories about these individual veteran service.
Now, have you seen an uptick since you've been doing this 250 Years of Valor Etched in Stone? More people coming to the memorial since you've been focused on this campaign?
Oh, absolutely. We had, I'll just start with the 4th of July weekend. And honestly, the 2 weeks preceding, 2 weeks after, we've had a ton of traffic up there. And then I'll back up even further to our Memorial Day ceremony, which I'll let Neil speak to, but I'll speak to the attention that it received, the attendance. We had record attendance at that event. We had record media coverage, and it was because of our intent to connect this incredible story to this theme of 250 years etched in stone.
Yeah, talk about Memorial Day.
Wow, Memorial Day was actually a historical event in our books. This year we honored a young an Irishman actually. I back up a second here, Corporal Patrick Gallagher from Ballyhonus, County Mayo, Ireland, in 1967. He was mortally wounded in combat after surviving a grenade attack about 4 months earlier. But what we did this year, with the help of many of our sponsors and our constituents, is we brought the family, his family, all 4 of his sisters, from Ireland over here for 4 days. And we presented the plaque to the family. And that was very, very moving. We had great talk by General Hyman, the MCRD commanding general.
Great guy.
And then Pauline Gallagher, who also spoke about her brother. She basically read his last letter home to the audience. Wow. And there wasn't a dry eye in the house. It was quite epic.
No, I imagine it is. We're chatting with our friends from the Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial, Neil O'Connell, Executive Director, his colleague Trevor Wessman-Lavelle, Marketing and Communications Director. I'm Drew Schlosberg. Listen to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, 20 years and counting. The nation's longest running community podcast, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for 60 years, doing phenomenal things for people living in San Diego County. Now, you folks put on events and do them very well, as evidenced by Memorial Day and, of course, the ones you were talking about earlier. Trevor, certainly Veterans Day is one of your highlights as well, and you have a whole bunch of that are sprinkled in there. But you guys never rest. And the thing I love talking about, and you can't talk about it enough because I think it's growing, is the educational programs in the living classroom. Talk about that.
This is it's pretty much an automatic here. When you think about what's on those walls, and you asked about attendance and visitor counts and things like this, we're over 300,000 this year. We anticipate 350,000. 4th of July weekend alone, we had over 25,000 visitors. in a 4.5, 5 day span. San Diego surges during the summertime. But what happens with this is there's these beautiful walls with stories. We have educators who contact us, youth leaders, coaches of youth sports organizations, the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, for community service projects, for visiting the memorial, coming to the very top of the site, taking in the panoramic view. But what we also see is an opportunity here to share with our youth the importance of just fully understanding and realizing what service is. Now, we don't recruit. The stories tell themselves. We have stories of doctors, pilots, jet fighters, corpsmen, scientists, you name it, folks who went on to own restaurant chains and the like. So there's this great opportunity, as well as the experience and the takeaway that the children, as well as the educators and the youth leaders, experience with our team. Again, there's beautiful places in our park to go to the museums in the Balboa Park. The Midway Education Program is superior. It's fantastic. And ours is a little bit on a smaller scale. However, there is a immediate connection established with the youth.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And I think as we teach this in our history, and it can be really taught almost in other grades other than the U.S. history grades of 5, 8, and 11. It can be taught through any of those, especially I'm a big fan of the TKs coming in and looking at this as you are as well. And but just abounds by these stories, especially when there's the docents you have. Talk a little bit about that. You guys are as well known for your docents as the Midway is, as certainly as Beef Drexler is building up his Navy SEAL museum, and so forth, and of course working with Christina, who's now in charge of the Maritime Museum down there. I mean, what a great triad that is. But talk about your docents.
We're blessed to have some fantastic individuals who give hours of their time on a weekly and monthly basis throughout the year, who interact with the public on a regular basis. They also help us with maintenance. They help us with event support, set up and take down. And they're there also to be able to be the presence of the memorial on a regular basis, regardless of the elements. They'll put on their heavy jacket if it's drizzling and wet up there, and they'll take their watch. And we're always looking for more volunteers, Drew.
I know you are.
It's a fantastic experience. It's very minimal requirements, and people that like to be outdoors for a few hours a day, for a couple hours a week, I should say, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, when we come back from break, I want to continue on that, talk about the docents, and really hit into there's still some room to get up those plaques and all that. I want to talk about some of the digital stories, as well in this area. I mean, and you really can't talk enough about the things like we can't build another Mount Soledad. I understand that, but there are ways you guys are pulling rabbits out of hats. When we return with Neil O'Connell, Executive Director of Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial, and his colleague Trevor Wessman-Lavelle, Marketing and Communications Director. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. We'll be right back after this very short break.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, The unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by the fine folks of Mission Fed Credit Union. More than 6 decades of doing great things in our community. Always an honor to have in the studio with us today our friends from the Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial, Neil O'Connell, Executive Director, joined by Trevor Wessman-Lavelle, Marketing and Communications Director. So, Trevor, I don't know how you do it. I mean, you probably don't sleep, of course, in this aspect of it. The events you put on, and now this, big focus on the 250 years of Valor Etched in Stone, obviously evidenced by the record-breaking crowds you had at Memorial Day and continue to do so. But let's talk about the plaques, because is there room to add X amount more? Or, Drew, you've just created a headache. Okay.
We saw it coming.
Okay.
Yes, there is still room.
Okay.
As it stands right now on our current walls,
Yeah.
not much. But there are plans in the works,
Right.
Big plans, longer-term visionary plans, and more immediate
Right.
tactical plans to accommodate. But as it stands right now, especially since we have just recently launched a campaign for plaques commemorating the 250th, where
Right.
For this year only, and for the rest of this year at this particular point in time, you have the opportunity to embellish your plaque design with our unique America 250 gold medallion. We're starting to see some pretty good uptake of that, and this is an incredible opportunity for people to have this mark of distinction. I mean, every single plaque up there is unique unto its own,
Right.
but to be part of this collective milestone and story commemorating 250 years of freedom and courage and valor and patriotism it's a unique opportunity, and it's actually something that we're going to be tying into for Veterans Day as we've started to explore our honor and commemoration or honor and recognition for Veterans Day, calling attention to this particular moment in time.
So with the medallion, is it someone they can just call your office? And one, it's obviously going to go on a plaque that's there, correct? And how do you promote this to how many plaques are up there right now, Neil?
We're at about 6,700 plaques.
6,700, okay. How many of them, and they're just starting the medallion thing, is new, okay?
We just kicked the campaign off the 1st of July, just before the 4th.
Okay.
This is a really unique concept, Drew. You've seen the plaques.
Yes, I have.
In the new design that Trevor's remarking about is that logo, that 250 America seal with our seal, engraved, embedded into the stone, right into the granite. So right now we're gaining some really good interest in it. We do a weekly count, and I think we're right now with 30 orders in.
Good. Well, and just getting started, and the momentum will pick up, of course. But getting back to the plaques, as you said, you're sort of running out of room of the existing area, but there's some plans to build some more space up there. I understand that. And is it something you can talk about now, or is there a capital campaign to do this? What does it look like, or that's too premature, Drew?
No, absolutely good time to bring it up, Drew. We've got a strategic plan, and it involves 3 phases. And first and foremost, with the current real estate that we own as the Memorial Association,
Right.
we have room to put up a few more walls, very few,
Right.
on that property to
Right.
be able to probably, as this design looks, for about 800 to 1,000 plaques,
Okay.
spaces,
Above and beyond what you have now.
above and beyond what we have now. The larger view is to really come up with a partnership where we're able to
Got it.
have the whole concept involved with the park itself, but at the same time work with the city and recreate a beautiful, beautiful experience for the visitors, to coordinate a nice plan in perpetuity where we'd have a very nice views and optimizing the location for the visitors in the city.
Yes, and now will you run a capital campaign to raise funds for this?
We will. In due time, within that plan, there is a plan for a capital campaign, targets a couple years out.
Right.
But absolutely. We're in the design phase right now of assembling some proposals. And we're very, very proud of what I think is going to be able to come to fruition.
And now you have a brick program now, because I think my dad's brick is there somewhere on site. How's that coming?
That's been going really well. We actually had a 4th of July weekend little flash sale and had great response to it. And it's an incredible opportunity for a very, very cost-effective budget, just a few $100s, and you can have your message of patriotism or recognition for your particular veteran, or just a thank you for the service of every veteran, lining our pathways around those walls. So you're not only reading these stories, but you're reading these messages as you take every step around each and every wall of people recognizing what it means to serve.
Yeah. Well, again, it's amazing to me. We've heard this on the show here. Neil and Trevor, when someone who's waiting, to come on and right after you or whatever. I've never been to Mount Soledad on this. And you think about it and you go, well, everyone's heard of Mount Soledad, okay? And they've heard of, I didn't realize there was a memorial up there. And of course, once they come up, then you've got them. And that's all there is to it, correct? How many of those stories do you hear all the time?
We hear that quite often, Drew. Honestly, the media relations we have with our local media is fantastic. The folks that come up and cover our events and pan the beautiful cityscape, the Pacific Ocean up to Torrey Pines, right down the bay, in addition to the memorial, it helps tell our story. It helps get that story out there. But to answer your question about who hasn't been, you got to think about this. When you come to San Diego for a vacation and you have your list made of the places you want to go, particularly if you're bringing the little ones, the children with you, you're going to go to the zoo. You're going to go to the museums at Balboa Park. You're going to go over to the Midway. You're going to go to the beach, and you're also coming up to Mount Soledad. Whether you start your morning there or it's in the middle of your excursion, your days out, and to include international visitors. There's an enormous amount of visitors that come to our beautiful city from all parts of the world, and we're proud to interact with these people. They're amazed at what they see.
One of the things, there's no question about that. I'm always trying to direct people up there. And whether you've got a connection to the military or not, we all should be connected to the military. We all know this in that area. Is there any better place than San Diego, the number one port in the country, and with 75 other thousand things that support the military, as we all know, with our great organizations like SDMAC, and just go down the list in this area. But I like the fact, I'm going to ask Trevor this question because I know you're knee deep in it. You want to make sure how do you modernize the digital experience, to hit some of these younger kids and get them engaged in the social media world they're in. How do you do that?
We spend a lot of time focusing on our social media strategy and content development. I have a great individual by the name of Tanisha Davis who works for us in managing content specifically. We focus primarily on Facebook and Instagram. That's where our strongest audiences are, and we dabble on Facebook with a little bit of a professional lean. But it's also the content that we choose to create, and really digging into not just the historical milestones that we meet every year, the annual commemorations and the historical dates, but it's also how the idea of service relates to us and how we relate to the community of military service, which is beyond those who don the uniform. It's their families who support them. It is the communities in which they live and the communities that surround them. And we recognize this, honestly, very, very poignantly when Tanisha joined us as a military spouse. And this was just a few years ago. And it was trial by fire, but we were earnest in our desire to connect what it is that we do on a day-to-day basis with those who are currently wearing uniform, as well as those who have most recently taken them off and retired from active duty. These are these communities of veterans and active duty are our primary audience, because they ultimately are the ones who are inspiring those who surround them, and we want to make sure that we're telling their stories.
Yeah. So Neil, you've been at this for how long?
Serving as a board member for many, many years, and the president, and now the executive director, 16, 17 years, maybe a little longer. Right. I can't keep track of it.
So you know the gig. What would you say? Here you are. You first joined the board, and
right.
Here you are many moons later. Okay. What makes you most proud of what you have seen during that whole tenure you've had, board member and now executive director? Is there something that stands out more than anything?
There's a lot of great things that I could put into that category, but I would say capsulize the last 4 or 5 years of development and growth. We've got a fantastic board of directors. Our trustees, led by Phil Kendrow, and just a lineup of really awesome people from our veteran and business community, have supported the efforts of our team. What really strikes me is when people will come and visit with us and say, "How can I help you?" And there's some very generous people in this town, and others that live around the country. And when that happens, they may be very, very inclined to help us out with a major donation. And folks like that, I will not ever, ever discount how important that is to our perseverance, prevailing into the future, and be able to do the great things we want to do. Interacting with people like the Gallagher family from Ireland was absolutely amazing. Interacting with the Jennifer Moreno family, Royce Williams' visit when we put his plaque up, John Chapman, U.S. Air Force Medal of Honor recipient. When you're interacting with men and women who served with these people or their families, it just sits right in the middle of your heart. You can't ever erase those memories.
Well, and again, you folks, you've been coming on my show for how long now? For a while.
Quite
Correct.
a few years, Drew.
Right.
Thank you.
And listen, and the trajectory you folks have had, and I'm not taking any credit for it. I'll take zero credit for it, of course. But you guys, every time there's more things you're doing, there's more feedback of people that know what you're doing, whether it's the school program. I remember when we were first talking about it, the school program was small, wasn't non-existent, right. And now it's going to continue to grow. Leaps and bounds. Obviously, the plaque program, of course, and now you're looking at these other things on it. So your trajectory is continuing to be in the skyrocket. You're probably going, how am I going to find 15 other Neils and Trevors and all that to do that? But that's the good headache to have. And as always, we love having you on, at least once a quarter, because there's always something that's going to be, chatting on. We'll get you on probably a good month before Veterans Day, and that's always a big deal, so you can shout that out as well. And Neil, just shout out the website one time.
www.soledadmemorial.org. You'll enjoy the experience. There's some fantastic videography on there. It tells you everything about our history, how to get a plaque, how to donate, how to become a member, up-and-coming events. We've got unbelievably historical data in there under our media lineup. And we're always asking folks, the big question is, why support us? At the end of the day, understanding the freedoms that you cherish on a daily basis is reflected in the walls at that memorial and the men and women that are on those walls. And that's our pretty cut and dry explanation on why you should support us.
Well, and obviously it works. Neil O'Connell, it's always a good day when I see you and Trevor in the house. I'll look forward to having you back on in a couple of months to shout out the great work that's going to be coming on Veterans Day as well. And to our audience, if you have not gone up to Mount Soledad, it is a treasure. And when you go up once, it will not be the last time you'll go. Neil and Trevor, always good seeing you.
Thank you very much, Drew. We really enjoy you having us on.
Thank you, Drew.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. I've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, chatting with our friends from Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial. Neil O'Connell, Executive Director; Trevor Wessman-Lavelle, Marketing Communications Director for the memorial. And our Spotlight on the Community Show is the nation's longest-running community podcast, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. To our audience, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.